For 200 years, Britain was the most powerful nation in the world. From Canada to India, from Australia to Nigeria, from the Caribbean to South Africa, the British Empire once ruled over a third of the people on Earth. Newly discovered film, all in original colour, reveals how the British viewed their imperial possessions. Personal letters and diaries describe the experiences of the rulers and the ruled.
The British flag never flew over more powerful or united an empire than now. Never did our voice count for more in determining the future destinies of mankind.
Why do I regard British rule as a curse? It has impoverished the dumb millions. It has reduced us politically to serfdom. It has sapped the foundations of our culture.
Britain's imperial history is a story of contradiction, discovery and progress, prejudice and oppression. For decades, it has exercised power across the world, and nowhere more than in India. December 1911, the Delhi Durbar. George V is honoured as emperor. For the first time, colour film records an imperial event outside Britain. The British have been in India for over 200 years. Special correspondent to The Times, Stanley Reed, witnesses the imperial splendour.
20,000 armed men with a striking array of guns. Next, the Imperial Service Troops. The Maharaja of Bikaner takes personal command of his scarlet and white camel corps. Then, the great event of the day. The gallop past in line. They go by like the wind, not a man unhorsed, not even a helmet shed.
Grace Molyneux watches her husband, Major Edward Molyneux, ride past with the 21st Lancers.
We had splendid seats. It was far and away the best show we've seen yet. It was all done with great dignity. I think the natives must have been very impressed.
But beneath this extravagant display of imperial loyalty, there lies a fragile Raj. British rule in India has been challenged by a decade of nationalist protest and terrorist violence. Viceroy Lord Hardinge remains resolute.
I need hardly say that the government of India has never for a moment thought that the evolution of this country could be colonial self-government. The idea is ridiculous and absurd.
1 year later, a Bengali revolutionary tries to assassinate Lord Hardinge. He survives, but it is another warning that British power in India is fading.
The British government in India has not only deprived the Indian people of their freedom, but has based itself on the exploitation of the masses and has ruined India. We believe that India must sever the British connection and attain complete independence.
Jawaharlal Nehru, President of the Indian National Congress, January 1930. Indian nationalism has grown in strength and ambition. In a series of reforms, Britain makes concessions towards Indian self-government. But imperial zealots are horrified at the prospect of relinquishing the Raj. Viscount Rothermere.
British rule in India is irreplaceable. It has been bought by British lives and built up by British capital. If we had not gone to India, she would still be in a state of semi-barbaric anarchy. Our duty there is not to argue with base agitators, but to govern.
The moon belongs to everyone. The best things in life are free.
Less than 100,000 British rule 315 million Indians. Marjorie Usher is governess to the children of an army colonel in Chakrata.
Entertaining in this country is very simple. You just tell the servants how many are coming and they see to everything. We have 9 servants, including the ayah, the head servant, who acts as valet to Colonel Stirling, the khidmatgar, who waits at table and looks after the silver, and the dhobi, or washerman, who does our clothes very well indeed.
For some British women, India offers the promise of adventure. Army wife Florence Riddle.
The way in which most women in India pass their days is too boring for me. I have never been nervous of natives, for there is something in our white blood which gives us a feeling of superiority over black blood. I've learnt that when one passes a strange bundle of dirty rags, it is not a dangerous lunatic, but merely a holy Hindu. Extreme dirt seems to accompany extreme holiness.
Joanna Bazalgette accompanies her husband Jack, an officer in the Indian Civil Service, on a tour of the Punjab. She writes an account in her diary.
An early start on the 12th for our 26-mile journey by river to Chaunta. Some 70 bullock skins had been collected. Katnaus, they're called. The animal has been carefully skinned through the hind leg, so that when the eyes, nose, mouth, and other orifices have been patched, it forms an immense bladder, which can be blown up through a leg by man-puff. For us, they rig 2 skins side by side with a legless chair on each and a box between for our feet. Very comfortable. And each boat has an auxiliary crew of 3 or 4 to paddle, tow, and guide us along, and, very important, puff up our bladders every half an hour.
One-third of India consists of the princely states, ruled by Maharajas and Nawabs. The Indian princes are favoured and flattered by the British Raj, which considers them useful figureheads for indirect rule, and socially acceptable. On a tour of India, American tycoon Larry Thor visits one of the wealthiest states, Bikaner, and films the marriage of the Maharaja Gunga Singh's granddaughter to the Prince of Udaipur.
This has to be one of the most elaborate spectacles of modern times. The princely bridegroom arrives on his elephant and approaches a platform where an official paints the ceremonial caste mark on his forehead. Then the boy, the center of all attention, is carried off to the temple on a solid silver palanquin. It really is a magnificent affair.
The ultimate social occasion for India's elite is the tiger hunt. Political power and prestige are traded as Viceroy and Maharajas mingle in the jungles of northern India and Nepal. Private Secretary Yvonne Fitzroy.
His Excellency and the Maharaja climb each to their howdahs. They are exceptionally comfortable, but nothing can really assuage the pangs caused by the admirable creature's walk. The art is to let yourself go and just wobble.
Hunting tigers out in India, out in India. They bite, they scratch, they make an awful fuss. It's no use stroking them and saying puss, puss, puss. No! Hunting tigers out in India, out in India.
In a manual on tiger hunts, the Maharaja Bahadur Benali describes ring hunting.
I first saw shooting tigers in rings when I was invited by my esteemed friend Colonel O'Connor. Buffalo calves were tied in the jungle as bait. About 50 elephants were sent out to circle the place where the tiger was likely to conceal itself. Then, when the ring was ready, orders were given for a couple of elephants to go inside and find out where the tiger was. The tiger, which remained encircled for such a long time, usually got enraged, charging the elephant that went near it. In the beginning, it's exciting. But after a while, the tiger becomes exhausted and lies down. With 2 or 3 rings being made a day, I have seen hundreds of tigers being shot.
In just 10 weeks, Viceroy Lord Linlithgow's hunt kills 38 rhino, 27 leopards, 15 bears, and 120 tigers. While the British enjoy the luxuries of the Raj, most of their Indian subjects live in dire poverty. Padmasani Amal.
The British Raj impose taxes for everything. What are these taxes? Is it to suck out our lifeblood? They plunder us for our money and make us living corpses. Look into a railway carriage. There is breathing space for a gunny sack, but not for a man. It was in a train like this that my friend Mopillai died of suffocation.
British India is divided into 7 provinces with many languages and religions. Violence between Hindus and Muslims is commonplace. Nationalists blame the British for a policy of divide and rule, but one man devotes his life to uniting India, Mohandas K. Gandhi.
India has become so poor that she has little power of resisting famines. Little do town dwellers know how the semi-starved masses of Indians are slowly sinking to lifelessness.